Peace about to flip, this world ain't getting better, so we can strive for it. So commit, and welcome to a humble abode. Boogie monsters, back beats and rhymes with the mold. Say the drama for your mama, come on, hit the road. It's time to get on down, with that God sound. So commit, and welcome to a humble abode. Boogie monsters, back beats and rhymes with the mold. Say the drama for your mama, come on, hit the road. It's time to get on down, with that God sound.
I was born in Alaska, transported to Virginia. A fall from the true origin of the North Shore, a small child. My father making roots and millers, people battling heads on only basis for props. My life's here. Never let a brother fall into this mold, but everywhere I roll, it starts another episode. Dig it. It takes a real strong brain to remain in the places I've been. Worlds of oasis and sin, my soul choppers and gangs. Visions and mans, like rolling on me crack, just pressure on rap. But everywhere I go, yes, we take to tomorrow. Those episodes when we need to kill the drama. Word.
Come in, and welcome to a humble abode. Boogie monsters, back beats and rhymes with the mold. Say the drama for your mama, come on, hit the road. It's time to get on down, with the God sound. Come in, and welcome to a humble abode. Boogie monsters, back beats and rhymes with the mold. Say the drama for your mama, come on, hit the road. It's time to get on down, with the God sound. Yes, y'all moving to the beats. You can settle down on this.
Now when you beyond design, I gotta bring down the skin.
She said she loved me, this be. She said she loved me. She said she loved me, this be.
She said she loved, but this to be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care.
She said she loved me, this be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care. It doesn't revolve for the rain, heartbeat for the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the pain, the heartbeat, the rain. I live in the own world that I make believe. It's never enough for the root and hurt to be right. This is only the symptom, only the fascination, only the PTSD for the live reminiscence that holding me down for this to be the only dear sentiment for what you call the name for the constant terror. Stains the friend for the soul, for the soul, for the lost, for the scenery of hell, for the trapped in the thoughts, for the triggered by the friendly sounds of the panicking look. Their eyes leave their presence for the falling in the darkness and punctuated by the bright shrapnel for the mind lost in time. I war with the own call, flashbacks for those who torture souls, just wanting to save us from the fear, for the pressure, for the enemies they've never seen, for the ones distant counters, keeping you carefree. Your thought for the concern, for the all that they would do, for the blame, for them, for the sacrifice of their eternal destruction. Hold them close, let that fight for these enemies, for the memories, for the demons, and try to defeat them. After all, for the all they see, they must wait for more, for the appreciation of whatever it takes and where their freedom is, they lie. Nightmares, after all they did, for the unseen, for the monsters and adversaries who never met, they would know all too well. You be that for the dare, for the simply, for the dirt, and absolutely, for the despising of you, for the acting if you cared at all, for the left with the vows and you call me for the body and me for the damn, for all I know for the ignorance and you kill that cat. That curiosity is bliss. Walking through the alley with us maintained, but full of rats and doesn't really matter anyway. Republican, Democrat, for this is dim. Damn if you vote, damn if you do, damn if you don't. For the only the rain is so beautiful, and she said, I can find no windows of the face. And when you tell me to the midst of the gods and hearing that all the crushing with the flying, the vanish of the smile, you know you find a destination with the exile. Request me to sing a song for the hero. Hearing that for the half of the cover, the tongue, the tries and groan. What is the other half of the rest of the piece and finding my leg and bones? And when you tell me, see this one with love for the hearing, the itis and try to open your empty orbits. No grief, salty tears, no more for the seed, for the barbets. This is what's to be want to be heard for the feeling of a boy when I was in there. Not for this to be the left, for the left to be the clean, for not to say there for the window to the attic and you can follow the closely to them for the mattress in the middle of the room to let you lay with. Play down for the pulling of the covers into your bodies and let them in for the kissing of the lips and not the consent. Act to sit next to, next for the sitting for the weeks and not to kept the roping up my butt for this to be the consent for the what you have and find it inviting me not to say yes, but we even until you find that stuff for the pulling out for the pants. Pulling down, this is the fourth down, what you can find the pain is on the dirt grave, never to trust that for the base off of the real events. It would be not to be heard, the minds of the soul, they get to become more predictable than the self, and this is the only for the times I weep for the laugh and feeds and harm with thousand thoughts and half of the weakness inside of a bubble, they easy to pop and turn to the faith in the way for the dying and crop. You can vacate that house with the hiding and the members and the getting down, you form for the falling in the debris for what you can find. Hush, door crease, peek into the past and where you can find a head for the knowing to where it leads, not afraid to die now. Darkest with the home of the dead and I envy the moon and the planet to save to see me. Safe place, where I send myself like a helicopter with the wind howl, bending trees and torso tracking and making changes. Never thought that for the world could be because of your laugh, the wind can hide the pale eyes and breaking into your smile, please.
She
said she loved, but this would be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. She said she loved, but this would be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care. She said she loved, but this would be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care. It doesn't revolve for the frame, heartbeat for the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the pain, the heartbeat, the rain. I live in my own world that I make believe. It's never enough for the and her to be right. This is only the symptom, only the fascination, only the PTSD for the live reminiscence of holding me down for this to be the only dear sentiment for what you call the name for the constant terror. Stains for the friend, for the soaking through the soul, for the lost, for the scenery, the hell, for the trapped in the thoughts of the triggered by the friendly signs of the panicking look. Their eyes leave their present for the falling in the darkness and punctuated by the bright shrapnel for the mind lost in time. I war with the own call, flashbacks for those who poured your soul, for just wanted to save us, for the fear, for the pressure, for the enemies never seen, for the only distant encounters keeping you carefree. Your thought for the concern, for the all that them to do, for the blame, for them, for the sacrifice of their eternal destruction. Hold them close, let that fight for these enemies be the memories for the demons and try to defeat them. After all, for all they think they must do for more, for the appreciation of whatever it takes and where the freedom is in their lie. Nightmares, after all they did, for the unseen, for the monsters and adversaries who never met. They would know all too well. You be that for the dear, for the sympathy, for the enduring, and absolutely for the despising of you, for the acting if you cared at all, for the love to go with the vows and you can call me, for the body and me, for the damn, for all I know, for the ignorance and you kill that cat. That curiosity is bliss. Walking through the alley but it's maintained, but full of rats and doesn't really matter anyway. Republicans and Democrats, for this is the dim. Damn if you don't, damn if you do, damn if you don't, for the only the rain is so beautiful. And she said, I can find those windows of the face. And when you tell me to the midst of the gods and hearing that all the crushing with the flying advantage and smile for you, though you find a destination with the exile. You request me to sing a song for the hero. Hearing that for the half of the cover of the tongue that tries and groan. What is the other half of the rest of the pieces of finding my leg and bones? And when you tell me see this world with love, they hear me the eyelids and try to open you into orbits. No grief, salty tears, no more for the sea, for the barbage. This is what's we want to be heard for the feeling of a boy when I was in there. Not for this to be the left to be the clean, for not to say there for the window to the attic and you can follow the closely to live with the mattress in the middle of the room and let you lay with. Play down for the pulling of the covers into your bodies and let them in for the kissing of the lips and not the consent. Act to sit next to, nets for the city for the weeks and not to kept the roping but my butt for this to be the consent for the what you have and finally inviting me not to say yes but waiting until you find the stuff with the pulling out for the pants. Pulling down, this is the force down for what you can find the panties and never go to third grade, never to trust that for the base off of the real events. It would be not to be heard, demise of the soul, thinking to become more predictable than the self, and this is the only for the times I weep for the laugh and the beats and 100,000 thoughts and half of the weakness inside of a bubble, the easy to pop, and the strength of the faith in the way for the giant to crop. You can vacate the house with the hiding and the memories of the getting down, deformed for the falling into the grave and what you can find. Hush, your creeps, peek into the past and what you find ahead, for the knowing to where it leads, not afraid to die now. Darkest with the home of the dead and I envy the morning, the plan with the safe to see me. Safe place, where I send myself like a helicopter to wind howl, bending trees and towards the track and making changes. Never thought that for the world could be because of your laughter, when you hide the pale eyes and wrinkle between your smile. Please.
She said she loved but this to be what you mean. She said she loved but this to be what you mean. She said she loved but this to be what you mean. For this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care. It doesn't revolve for the frame, heartbeat for the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the pain, the heartbeat, the rain.
She said she loved, but this to be what you mean for this to be addicted to all. It doesn't care. It doesn't revolve for the frame, heartbeat for the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the rain, for the heartbeat, the pain, the
Everybody, get on up. You better dig him. He's a dog. The way he does is funky, funky stuff. You better ready up. He's wild, so cool. You can really nobody's fool. Keep doing his stuff, the real stuff. He never stopped until he get enough. Hey, hey there, get on there and do your stuff. Did you hear what I said?
I said it.
Hey girl, get on there, do your stuff. You better get up.
Like it was around that.
Don't worry.
Like it was the only thing you could do. Like it was a chore, something like that. You had to chore for a chore. Felt like it was yours. You made it for a chore. Chore for a chore. Chore.
Do your stuff.
Because it's relevant like
You look real sick. There's a hot pain song. Early in the morning, when I get up out the bed, I turn the radio on and listen to a soul song. They really turn me on. They really turn me on. It's a good in the morning. I like to feel in the evening. In the middle of the night. Anytime you like. Do your stuff. You sure are tough. Spaceman, take your stand. I wanna hear you talk. I wanna hear you walk. Get that player. I said get that player. Get that player. Give some soul. That's it. Suck it right in your hole. Market man. Come on in. It's all about me.
Not to remind you, for you to get the precipitation. It's not patience in the nose. So it says if you don't feel the nails of the hard for the breathing, air for the heart, air for the breathing. Breathe inside yourself like a bar. You are starting for the breathing. Breathing suck you in. Only imagination will allow it. Never contain anything within your container. It's only a part that your content, everyone really hold it down.
Is everybody ready? Yeah! All right, here we go. Everybody, get on out and do your stuff. Did you hear what I say? I said everybody, get on out and do your stuff. You better get up.